Welcome to Database DevOps from start to finish. This is the introduction section where you learn what this course is all about and how to get started in it. In this lesson, I'm going to introduce you to SQL Server data tools and show you where to get them. So let's start by going to visualstudio.com. Now it will redirect you to visualstudio.microsoft.com, but if you just type out visualstudio.com, you will come to this page. And this page has two different tools that we're going to use, both of which are free. The first one you're going to get is Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. Notice this drop down here when you hover over it gives you three options: Community, Professional, and Enterprise. The first two are almost identical in features. The difference is that Community is free as long as you meet certain requirements. Those requirements are pretty high. If you're an individual developer or a small shop, you should be fine. Professional is if you don't meet those requirements and you need to pay for Visual Studio. And finally, Enterprise has some additional features that really won't affect anything we do in this project. So, Community Edition of Visual Studio 2019 is what you want. When you download and install that, that'll be the main tool we use for this course. The next tool we're going to use is Azure DevOps. I'm going to click the Learn More here. There's a number of things that Azure DevOps does, but what we're going to use it for are two different pieces. The Azure repos, which is where we have our Git repositories, and also Azure pipelines, which is where we set up a CI/CD process that works with our database deployment. So these two sections are what we'll use inside of Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is free for teams up to 5 people. And after that, it will cost you something. So again, this is a free tool you can use to work with your pipelines and repositories and even more. For example, Azure boards for agile development or for having a Kanban board and those type of things. So those two things I want you to sign up for and get. Azure DevOps is a web-based software as a service, so it's just signing up and getting a login. Visual Studio does require you to install something, and so you have to install that. Now, if you have Visual Studio from an earlier version, it may still work, especially if you have Visual Studio 2017. But if you have an earlier version than that, I would definitely recommend that you install Visual Studio Community Edition 2019. Like I said, it's free to do, so unless you're on a work machine where you cannot, it makes the most sense to get the latest and make sure that SQL Server data tools are installed, as well as the SQL Server Express 2016 Local DB. We'll be using Local DB quite a bit. So those things are important to have installed. Once those are installed, if you don't already have them installed, once you select the checkbox, this will change from close to an install. Go ahead and install it, and you'll be ready to start the course.